Gonzaga's 12-1. Kentucky and Duke 15-1. Arkansas 16-1 out of the SEC. Houston, Baylor, North Carolina, UCLA, and Auburn all in the Caesars Palace odds to be national champions next year. So, and what I'm roughly looking at 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 top 10 odds to win the national championship next year. You find the Auburn Tigers.
And their coach joins us now, head coach Bruce Pearl, with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. Hello, Coach. How are you today?
We're doing great, guys, other than the fact that we got a tornado warning here in Auburn, and occasionally maybe hearing little sirens and beeps, and maybe you'll see me blow away during the course of our Zoom here today.
If you need to head to the basement, you just let us know. We'll end this thing quickly.
I'm good.
Okay. As you watch that game last night, I'm curious, as a guy that has done it in the Final Four, you have to make so many split-second decisions in a game, but boy, on that stage, did you ever stop and think, there's 2 or 3 I just wish do you think Hubert Davis is thinking that today, like, man, I wish I had just done 2 or 3 things differently in that game?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I bet you he said he wished he had a healthy Babcock the whole time, right?
Yeah, right. No doubt, yeah.
Right? I mean, I would have thought that would have really made a difference. I have drawn up things on a last second, 3 seconds left to go on a side OB, and I'm sure he wished he could have gotten Love a better look than what he got. I was kind of surprised that once they inbounded where they inbounded, that Love was in a position where he's going to have to put the ball down the floor a little bit to get to a shot. Obviously, they needed a 3 to tie. I thought that Kansas would foul. Because the inbound did not get him a shot. The inbound got the ball, put it in his hands, and then he was going to have to. Then it was spacing to go make a play. And I think that would be, if you had to do that one all over again, I would have thought that you'd have tried to get a catch and stick, where if they did try to foul, you make the 3, they foul you, maybe make a 4-point play.
After the win last night, Bill Self, now one of only 3 coaches that has 2 national championships. Izzo's only got 1. Boeheim's only got 1. Few doesn't have 1. You don't have 1. We came to a conclusion years ago, the most difficult championship to win is in college basketball. Why is it so difficult?
Oh, I just think because there's so much parity, and there are so many teams. I mean, in the NBA, there are 30 teams, and only 13 make the playoffs, and it's some of the same teams over and over again. There are 300 and something Division I teams. There are 68 teams that make the field every year. It is hard. It's hard. And I just think because there's so many good teams and so many good coaches and so many good programs, but that's why they're special. Look, if they were easy to come by, it wouldn't mean so much, right? I got one. The only thing is, it was a Division II championship, right? But I still got me one.
I've got a 30-year career. I've been to one Final Four. It was with you guys up in Minneapolis. I got the T-shirt on today. It's one of my souvenirs from up there. It seems like you have to reinvent the roster every year now, and yep. That's the process you're doing. Let's talk about the people who are heading off to likely the first round of the NBA draft first. Jabari and Walker leaving your program, and not the only ones, but those 2 guys in specific. They came in 1 year for your program, and they did something special. They'll forever be Auburn Tigers. What are your feelings of what those 2 guys did for you this year? Yeah,
it's interesting. In the last 3 years, the year before COVID, 20, the league that year to Kentucky, and that team could have made another run. That was a really good team. I heard Bill talk about the 2020 Kansas team being really, really good, and reflected back on winning that championship this year, because some of those kids have been in the program for a few years, which is unusual. And that's one of the things that made Kansas so special. They got old, and they kept their kids in the program. 2021 was the COVID year, and we had JT Thor and Sharif Cooper that were both one and dones. And then this year, Walker Kessler and Jabari Smith. That's 5 one and dones in the last 3 years. So when you talk about having to rebuild, reload, revamp your roster every year, that is really the case. Certainly the transfer portal and the one and dones and the NIL and all those things that are putting together makes it that way. I think the transfer portal is good for a place like Auburn. I do. I think I don't like it because I would rather have kids, try to fight than flee so easily. I've never thought there was anything wrong with transferring and going to a place and investing a year in your body and your game. Look, there's a reason why you transferred. You wanted a bigger role. You wanted more playing time. You wanted something more than what you had left. Well, then take the year and go work towards it, and then you're even more ready. I've loved having kids, sit. But that's no longer the way the rule is. And so as a result, 3+ players per team per year are leaving. That's just a lot. And unfortunately, a couple things have taken place. And I know you didn't ask me about this, but I got on my soapbox. There are going to be hundreds of kids that are in the transfer portal that won't have a scholarship when this is all, when the music stops and the musical chairs are played. That's not a good thing. I don't, but we've sort of set that up. And, but for us, it's been great because we got a great program and we've demonstrated that you can come in here and have success, right away. So Walker Kessler goes from playing 8 or 9 minutes a game in North Carolina. Why? Because he's playing behind Babcock. He's playing behind Garrison Brooks, who was at Mississippi State this year as a grad transfer. And he was playing behind a first rounder that went in the draft last year. Those were who he's behind. So there was just no clock. Walker got better at North Carolina, but nobody got to see it. Improved more from freshman to sophomore year than Walker Kessler. He was the best defensive player in the country, the Naismith Defensive Player of the Year. Unbelievable athleticism and length and timing, and affected everything at the rim. And look, without Walker Kessler, we're not won the country. We don't win the SEC. That's just all there is to it. And he can also shoot the 3 ball. I think he's going to be a really good pro. And then Jabari Smith, he's the best jump shooter his size that I've seen in college basketball in the last 10 years. I don't know what jump shooter his size that I could tell you in college that was better. I mean, he shot 43% from 3, and they weren't all easy. And that's just incredible. He can guard multiple positions. Jabari will be the first NBA All-Star that I think that I've been able to coach. Tobias Harris was going to be a guy that I knew career in the NBA, and he would approach All-Star status. Now he's at All-Star pay because he and his dad have done a great job with what they've done with their contract.
Right.
But Jabari Smith's an All-Star.
Yeah, I mean, for Jabari, it was a no-brainer. But back to Kessler, and we all agreed, a month ago that he might be your most valuable player this year. But for Kessler, projected into that first round with NIL now, and I know you want to do right by the kids, but does it become a harder decision for a guy like Kessler because he can come back, refine the skills a little bit more, maybe be a lottery guy after next year, maybe win a championship, and still possibly be a millionaire with NIL?
Yeah, you know what? We never went down that road with Walker. I think it was his dream to go to the NBA. And I think once, that we did enough research and recognized that he's probably going to go someplace in the late first round, that was enough for him. That was enough. You I don't need to restate what you stated because you've stated it. That would have been a win for Walker. And at the same time, so would be getting drafted. So I think you can make an argument on both sides of that.
Coach, we're going to cut you short here because we are weather aware, and you're literally under a tornado warning right now.
You're the Polygon.
Yeah. So we're going to.
Yeah, they probably want me to go downstairs.
They do. As much as we love talking to you, we can do that at any time. Yeah. Why don't you take care of that, and we'll do this again some other time.
Auburn fans are begging us to get you to your safe place.
You guys do me a favor. We'll do this again. Let's do this again in a week or two, and we'll close the books on it. Okay.
You bet. Thank you,
Coach.
Be safe.
Be safe.
Guys.
Yep.
Yeah, everybody down there. We have family and friends and kids and everything down in Auburn. So, be safe as the storms are blowing in.
Coach on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline, but he is right in the middle of the Polygon.